Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And today we have a spoiled Saturday for you. A very recent movie, came out in 2025. So yes, spoilers, perhaps goes without saying. But yeah, this was a movie I discovered and I just loved. And I immediately was like, I really want to talk about this. It's technically more of a summer horror movie, but it does involve sharks eating people. And this is the season of eating.
So it's also in Australia, so maybe,
that's true.
The weather's different.
It's
also, how did you discover this movie? Because this was not on my radar at all. And when you were even telling me the title, I thought you were just describing it. Like, I was that confused about it.
Yeah, so the movie's called Dangerous Animals. I think because I love horror movies so much, I get legit notifications on my phone. Like, there's this new horror movie. And it'll be something I've never heard of, like hardly anyone's ever heard of. And I'm pretty sure that's how I found this one. But I had heard there was a lot of good buzz about it and people were excited. And then what often happens, I have a list on my phone of horror movies I want to watch. But when they're from other countries or smaller, they might not be released. Right. So I can't watch them. So I have a long list of horror movies that I've been waiting to watch. And this one is from Australia. And I think I'd like had a notification on the site I have of like, when is this horror movie available? Where can I watch it? And it popped up. Okay. So I've been trying to watch this for a long time, actually.
You were ready.
I was so ready. I don't know why, but I love shark movies. I have a good friend who also loves shark movies, and we just send like the strangest shark movie we can find, just the cover and the description and no other explanation. That's just our texting relationship. I don't know. I don't know why. I think there's something about I did love Jaws as a kid. And it's the 50th anniversary of Jaws, by the way. And actually, said friend is going as a Jaws character this year.
That makes sense.
Yes. And also a friend of the show, Lauren, is going as Jaws, and her kitten, who's named after Bruce, the shark from Jaws, is going to have a fin on her back.
Cute.
Very cute. But I guess it kind of reminds me of my weird phase I went through that we talked about on the show where I loved like mountain disaster movies. There's something about like the nature of it. I don't know.
I am petrified of dark waters, so I have a lot of phobias, but this is up there with the heights and clowns. I hate both of those things. But like seeing those things, I was like, yeah, you'll never see me anywhere near this area. Because like I went snorkeling, not even like scuba diving, but snorkeling in Puerto Rican oceans, and I saw what was down there. And there were so many things near my feet that could eat me or bite me that I was like, nope. And I immediately got out. And so just the thought of like not being able to stand and not being able to see how far down or what is down there. Hell nah.
Yeah, it is scary. I mean, I was a weird kid and I would watch Jaws every summer to kick off the summer. And I would tell myself, you wouldn't have been scared of this if you hadn't watched Jaws. But then I used to get in the debate with myself. Do you think it'd be scary to see the fin coming for you or to just like not see it?
Oh, not seeing to me is worse. At least I know like where it's coming from and that I can stare it down. And even though that's like the anticipation is still scary, but like not knowing where it's coming from and every little thing that touches you, it's that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't think I ever fully decided, but there used to be a lot of dolphins. You saw it when you visited my beach house. There were a lot of dolphins in that area. And one time I saw one and I could have sworn up and down it was a shark fin. And I like shut down immediately. Like, this is it.
Take me.
Yeah. It's a huge genre. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this movie. If I had time, I would do a whole podcast that was just me talking about all the shark movies you can watch out there, and I've seen quite a lot of them. But I have been wanting to talk about that in terms of women and sharks for a while. So here we are. Here we are with this movie that I thought was a platform for that.
We've talked about sharks a couple of times, haven't we?
We have. If you would like to see our past episode we did on women in shark science, I would recommend it. It does start with discussion of Jaws 4: The Revenge. A Christmas movie if I've ever seen one. Also, quite a bad film. But
I will say the ending on this, better than The Mummy 2, but still very much CGI.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is. I feel like The Mummy 2 had a lot more money than this movie did.
Probably. I mean, The Mummy 2 is epic in its, oh my God, why?
Yeah.
Who did this? But
yeah.
And so in comparison, everything is better. Everything. But yeah, it's still
the
like
Scorpion
the CGI.
King.
Him almost waving. Anyway, keep going.
Yes. Okay. So we are talking about the 2025 survival horror serial killer movie, Dangerous Animals, which is written by Nick Lepard and directed by Sean Byrne, and stars Hassie Harrison, Jay Courtney, and Josh Houston. Yeah, I love this movie. I was so excited to talk about it. But if that description is making you scratch your head, let us get into the plot. The movie opens with a pair of tourists in Australia, a man and a woman, Greg and Heather, and they're signing up for a last-minute shark cage tour with a local man, Tucker, who goes out of his way to ask if they have anyone expecting them, all that kind of stuff. As they drive out on his boat into the waters, he tells them he was bitten by a shark as a child and that his mom did nothing about it, and he shows them the scars. It's kind of like, oh yeah, it's all cool. It gave me new perspective.
There's a lot of foreboding, by the way, in this movie.
This awkward silences in the opening. Oof.
They even have a creepy man warning them, this dude is not good.
Yes. And they're like, I mean, going back to another topic we've done around women and not being believed in horror movies, I can tell Heather was like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
She kept doing like, why did you talk me into this? Why? How did we do this?
But Greg, he's gung-ho. He's, let's go ahead. Let's go do this.
That American.
Yes. They arrive at a good spot, and Heather is clearly on edge and wants to back out. She doesn't want to do this anymore. However, Tucker jokes with her and starts to sing Baby Shark to get her to relax. It was quite mean. So they do get into the shark cage, and they see just so many sharks, and they have this really wonderful time. And when they're pulled back up, they're exuberant about it. They're so happy they did it. But then Tucker stabs the man in the throat, pushes him in the water, and Heather screams. Cut to it's a very astonishing cut. Then we go to our lead character, an American woman named Zephyr. She's a bit of a drifter and is in Australia surfing and generally avoiding things, it seems. She sleeps in her big van. While shoplifting at a local gas station, she encounters Moses, whose car battery won't start. And he asks her for help, but she refuses until he confronts her in the parking lot and threatens to turn her in for shoplifting. So reluctantly, she agrees, and they kind of bond over music, though she makes fun of his song taste as being too simple and about love. She does start his battery in more ways than one, because they have sex in her van. Oh my goodness. I wrote that down in the outline just so everyone knows. I'm so proud of myself. They then discuss Zephyr's plans, and he's like, what if you stayed for a long term kind of thing? We could get to know each other. And then he goes to make her breakfast because they're kind of parked outside of his house at this point. She leaves to go surfing while it is still pitch black outside. And then she encounters who we know to be the killer, Tucker, asking to borrow something from him. She receives a text from Moses, who is like, I made you breakfast. Can I join you surfing? And she types out a few responses that demonstrate she's into him before settling on something pretty vague, like it's an open beach. Before she can send it, though, Tucker attacks and subdues her. She wakes up chained to a bed on the lower deck of his boat. And Heather is there, and she kind of explains what she knows about the situation. Zephyr realizes that Tucker has done this to numerous women based on the scratches on the wall. As she tries to break free of her cuffs, Heather reveals that her mom always wanted a certain kind of life for her, and that was she was afraid of exactly this kind of thing happening. And Zephyr shares that she grew up in a lot of foster homes and promises that Heather will get the chance to tell her mom that it is her life and her decisions. Zephyr tries to pick the cuffs using the underwire from Heather's swimsuit, but Tucker drugs the pair before she can. When they wake up, Zephyr is strapped to a chair and Heather is strapped in a harness. And Tucker explains that sharks are attracted to boats like his because of the chum that they use to attract the sharks for tourist activities. So even if there isn't any chum, they sort of show up. And he slowly, despite Zephyr's pleading, lowers Heather into the shark-infested waters, filming as she is torn apart, while Zephyr is forced to watch. Later, Zephyr escapes her room and in the skirmish throws the camera off the boat. And it's a really old school camera, by the way. It's like VHS, old school. Tucker is furious and locks her back up. And we learn that he has a terrifying amount of these videos of all the women he's killed. It looks like about 30. Presumably drifters who wouldn't have had people looking for them or know where they were. And he attaches a lock of their hair to fishing hooks and puts them inside the video cases. The filming of the whole thing is really important to him, so he returns to land to get another camera. Meanwhile, Moses is suspicious that he hasn't heard from Zephyr and is able to get some security camera footage that leads him to Tucker's boat. He sneaks on board and follows Zephyr's screams. She asks him to call the authorities and find something to help her pick the lock. And Moses rushes to do so, but Tucker, now with a new camera, is back and attacks him. It's a back and forth, but eventually it looks like Moses is going to win this fight until Tucker's drunk dock neighbor comes in and knocks Moses out. And realizing that this is a witness, Tucker kills him. Kills the drunk guy, and his dog did get away. I made sure to warn you about that.
Yeah. I was like, he didn't, and then he ran away. I was like, okay, forgiven.
Yes,
forgiven.
The dog makes it. Everyone.
The dude dies horrendously, but the dog is fine.
the dog did make it. So yeah, Tucker kills him and chains Moses up in the same room as Zephyr. And they talk about commitment and why Zephyr left. And Moses is pretty injured, by the way, at this point. Tucker once again puts Zephyr in the chair and loads Moses into the harness, lowering him into the water. And he makes a point to say, like, I don't normally do men or matinee and all this stuff. So it's kind of like not what his typical murdering is. Zephyr tells Moses to stay completely still. And he does, and the sharks pay him no attention. So annoyed, Tucker stabs him over and over and then goes to lower him back down, but has to stop when a lifeguard helicopter flies over. So now Moses is gravely injured, and Zephyr bites off her thumb to escape from her handcuffs and makes another break for it. Another confrontation takes place between her and Tucker, and she is drugged in the process. But even so, she jumps into the water and swims toward a wedding venue that she's seen. There's like a party cruise boat and a wedding venue that she can see. And she's making it, but before she can alert anyone, Tucker catches up to her in his small little boat and subdues her again. When she wakes up, she is now in the harness while Moses is in the chair forced to watch. Tucker monologues about how she is a marlin, a fish that is constantly running and fighting, and that's the thrill of catching them. An enormous great white appears as she is placed in the water, and she remains still as she advised Moses to do. She's able to free herself from the harness, but falls back into the water and holds her breath as she encounters this great white under the water again. It seemingly gives her a good look and swims away. Zephyr sneaks back onto the boat, grabs Tucker's spear gun, and shoots him with it after quoting a line from the song she made fun of Moses for liking. Tucker falls into the water and, as the camera films, is eaten by the great white shark. Zephyr uses a flare gun to signal for help, and she and Moses talk about their future together. The end. Yeah.
And the ending is where I'm talking about. You can see him and almost like waving as he's being eaten.
He's like, the camera's watching. No one's gonna help me. Just like when my mom didn't help me either. It's a wild ride. I really, 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 really enjoy this movie. Oh, but that does kind of transition into one of the themes I wanted to talk about. And I looked into this because we have discussed it before, but there is this idea of it being the mom's fault that we see a lot in horror. It's not really explored that explicitly, but he does mention it in the beginning. It's clear he hates women, goes for women. And so one must assume that it's because of this origin story of him being attacked by a shark, and his mom, in his mind, did not help him. Yeah. So one of the tagline for this movie is "You're safer in the water." And Samantha and I were discussing this before, but you know, the dangerous animals in this case would be men. And it made me remember that episode we did when you were discussing the social media trend of like, would you rather take on a bear or a man? Yeah. And in this case, Zephyr, at least, is much more like, I will jump. She jumps in that water so easily every time she gets away. And I'm always like, sharks in there. But she wants to get away from this man who she knows means her harm and will kill her using these sharks.
He does at one point say, they are not the monsters you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously. And she does, like, I really like her as a character, but it's clear like she's had a lot of bad experience with men. So she was ready with that line. She was like, no, you're blaming like this on all the wrong people. It should be yourself. The blame is where it goes.
Yeah. I find it interesting. I feel like not newer, it's definitely older, but like coming into survivor horror type of movies, like they're bringing in, they have to be orphans. I see that a lot. Anyway, but like, and also have attachment issues. Like the women have to have an attachment issue. You know, put on that front of being like, I would love for you to join, but she changes her mind and says the ocean's free for everyone. Like, oh, okay. It is a new trope that I've been seeing more and more of.
It is. And I do kind of like the flip in this where Moses is the one that's like, why can't we? What's the problem? Yeah. Why are you running away after they've had this sex and all this stuff?
I will say when I was first watching it, I was waiting to see if he was a bad guy. Because I didn't know for sure. Because like the whole boy jumping out of nowhere, help me do my car, that's the whole thing. I know it's a misdirect, but just saying. It did get me for a second. I was like, is he a bad guy? Is he helping this dude?
It's true. The drunk boat guy was helping him out. He didn't know there was murder happening.
He thought he was just scamming him.
Yeah, he just thought it was a big scam, but he was directing people to take.
Kinda. Because the first couple, he was like, don't go out there. She's not going to be okay. She might be okay, but you won't. Like telling them like this, that people are missing and lose body parts out there, but good luck. Yeah. He does want to warn them. Well, it's a weird, like, it's kind of how the Cabin in the Woods, they have that ominous, like, old man warning them.
The harbinger, yeah.
And, like, that's him at the very beginning. But then he's like, I try to talk these people to come back. So he was very confusing to me.
Yeah. He seemed to like Tucker. But, yeah, he was a confusing fellow. I mean...
Because he's like, what are you doing, man? What is this bird doing down here? Doesn't he say a bird? I always love when they do like weird, like sexist titles for her.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think I kind of had because I knew what it was about. I knew he was the bad guy
Right.
before I'd even seen
Right.
it. But I mean, he is like eerie pretty immediately.
Right.
Something feels off about him. And I have to say, you know, I wasn't by any means a drifter or anything. But when I was in Australia, I couldn't contact my parents. I was just like, that was also because it was earlier in our technology.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago, but it was just so remote in a lot of areas. I couldn't contact them. So my poor parents, they would get like a random email that would say like, everything's fine, but nothing else. So I was thinking about that a lot in this movie because he does target people who he assumes no one will come looking for. Because you would think like somebody would have reported this tourist company seems to have a really bad.
Well, no one knew that's what they were doing because they just left them. The first couple, they just left them. So they didn't say where they were going, who they were going to see. They gave no notes. But then, like, did they have an Uber driver? I was thinking this a little earlier. I was like, plausibly, if you actually researched or did search, because the mother of that girl is going to eventually be like, she came down here. Where is she? Figure out what hostel that she was staying at. See cameras, because you know there's CCTV everywhere that picks up a Lyft or a taxi, and that taxi would tell them where they dropped him off. I'm like, eventually, it's going to be notable.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if that's one of the reasons, if that's why they chose he always uses VHS.
Right.
Like he's not thinking about, he's been doing this for so long. He's not thinking about like the current technology anymore. And so maybe he was on the verge of getting caught anyway. Right. And that, you know, I would love if any listeners from Australia write in, because I have watched a lot of Australian horror movies lately that do have some pretty heavy themes around misogyny and feminism.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious. Like,
that's been all.
It could be just the algorithm. I don't know. But a lot of the horror movies I've seen coming out of Australia lately, I've been like, something's going on here.
And it could be because, like, I've seen that, and like, again, for me, South Korea is like a big focus, and that's a big thing in that conversation. And oftentimes it's always women targeted, blah, blah, blah. But like in Australia too, the one thing that I always think of is all the amount of creatures in the vast amount of lands that aren't necessarily common and don't have all of like the technology. Like in the US, there's not really not undiscovered, but like not very settled areas. Maybe in Montana, there's a little bit, but even still, like even in the deserts, maybe, but there's so much technology and like access. Okay, also Alaska and Puerto Rico, probably any of the territories may be questionable for sure. That's also why I think there's a good bit of it, like some bit of dark, like murder mysteries and horror movies that come out of Alaska too. I've seen quite a bit out of that. But you know what I mean? Like it's not so common, and especially inland, like in the main parts of the U.S. So to see like Australia, there's like all like these levels of like, no, there's a lot of this bush area. Like it can be really hard to get all this kind of signal. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just thinking 20 years ago, but that's what it seems like when I see horror movies. Because I've seen several of like survivor movies like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I was there oh gosh, it was longer than that. 2008. I was there in 2008. And it was, I mean, you would see signs that would say something like 800 kilometers until the next dunny, which is a toilet. Like it does have a feeling of just a lot of emptiness, especially in the middle. And I know that there are a lot of horror movies I've seen out of Australia that are kind of similar to this, where there's a killer who's never been caught, and he's been doing it for a long time, just because he was able to, because there's like no technology, or no one knows. Anything could have happened to someone who got lost or something like that. So I do find that interesting. Again, I would love to hear from listeners, because I have at least 3 other horror movies that I've thought about talking about on the show that come from Australia that were very like tackling this misogyny. And yeah, I mean, he does in this movie, he does record and watch the films back. It's obviously a very disturbing, joyous moment for him. He's like dancing.
And eating.
He'll rewatch. Yeah.
Enjoying his meal while watching it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, the one thing I did appreciate is that they didn't need to like violate women, like sexually violate, which is typically always, especially in a movie in that tone. Don't get me wrong, it's still very bad. It's still very bad. Yeah. But they didn't need, like, when she was giving the underwire, she, like, covered herself, and he didn't come. You know what I mean? Like, I was kind of surprised the way that tone took, because I was like, oh, God, it's going to be one more porn piece where they stick this part in which every woman in the world is like, oh, my God, it's uncomfortable, and it arouses men. Like, it's a very, very male perspective. Yeah. And they didn't do that. I was like, huh, okay. And they still told a good horror story.
Yeah, and I liked that too. I was worried about that.
The whole time I was like, ugh.
But it doesn't go in that territory. It is still very creepy because he's obviously getting, like, when he's making the hook and he's keeping the hair, like, he has these keepsakes, but it doesn't go into that area. And I actually kind of liked that. It's such a small thing and it makes me sad. But when she asked for the underwire, like, that's such a...
The girls...
Nobody really knows about that outside of... we don't talk about that. So I liked that. But I also thought about that. We're going to get more into this in a second, but there's been a long history of, when it comes to not just horror, advertising does this all the time, but kind of that consumption of women. And shark movies really hit that on the nose. And so that scene where he is watching Heather, he's watching the video of Heather just getting torn up and eaten. He's eating. It's a strange kind of meta moment because you're watching it as the viewer, and like, I've potentially, if I like these horror movies, been in that seat of just enjoying someone get torn up, and it's a very uncomfortable moment that I thought was well done and enjoyed. So I don't know what that says about me. Hey, I also did I've always liked this, but I love Zephyr's refusal to give up, because I feel, again, this might say something about me. I'm worried I would. Oh, yeah. I'm worried at a certain point, I would just be like, I can't even scream anymore. Right. Like, this is the kind of the hopelessness of it. But she does not. She attempts like 3 or 4 escapes.
I mean, when she puts her name on the wall, it felt like she might be giving up, especially in discovering, like, not only was there one other name, but there was 4 other names. Like, she realized, because he had painted over some of the names. Mm-hmm. It was like he didn't want them to know too much. And then also, like, making sure to memorialize Heather, which I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. But all of those things to be like, it did almost feel like it, but every time she almost gave up, new hope did come back. Like, with, form of Moses actually showing up, being able to get out of the handcuffs the first time, and almost escaping the first time, and stuff like that. Like, knowing that he had to dock the boat. That was another hopeful moment. Like, all these things, it almost like the world kept pushing her to try, and she was like, yes, I'm listening.
Yes. Yeah, and he has that whole monologue where he's like, oh, they're in Marlin, they never quit. They're not the best, like, cut of fish, but everybody wants one because the trophy of, like, capturing it. And he's comparing her to that of, like, her constant trying to escape. And when the great white shows up, he's like, I knew this would be a special one. He's so excited. But I don't know. I just really enjoyed that, even though it was, because it's a horror movie, it's so frustrating. You're like, oh, she almost got away, and then we're back here again. And she does, I like that she really, like, she did what she could for Heather. She did what she could for Moses, even though she's got this whole, like, commitment issue. She really did, like, care, and it was so calm when faced with the sharks. Oh my goodness.
I mean, that's definitely one of the things you learn is, like, don't move. If you don't move, they are not as interested. The more you fight, So I'm told.
Yeah.
Watch me get eaten by a shark.
Oh.
If I did,
no.
It wasn't because I wanted to go there. Just note that.
Yes. But I also like because it's clearly framing him as the predator and she is the prey. But in the end, she comes back around on the boat and he's not anticipating it, shoots him with his own harpoon gun, which I guess I could make a whole thing about how it's a phallic shape because in horror, we always talk about that. But, gets knocked into the water.
Yeah, which, by the way, I was like, let go. What are you doing? You know it's attached to you. What are you doing? I will say that was one of the most infuriating parts. I was like, what?
Yeah, she gets pulled back in the water again. Like, you think it's over, and nope.
I guess they really need that last, but I'm like, when she first just sat there, I was like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I did get very mad. White girl, take that off your foot. Let go of the gun.
You gotta have the final, is it dead or is it over? And then it's not, and then it is. But yes, and to have the shark come for him because he can't stay still. He's panicking up in there and trying to get back on the boat. Which I enjoyed. I enjoyed that the shark was like, nah, I won't eat you. But you, though.
I've been waiting on you.
I'm going to put on a show for the camera.
I've been waiting on you. Let me do a whole jump out of the water with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's quite a scene. But, yes, this does bring me to something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I wasn't able to find as much research as I thought there would be on it. But sharksploitation and women. And sharksploitation is, yes, these shark movies that have just gone off the rails in recent years. I have list of some of the wilder ones I found. There's one that takes place in the mountains in snow. There's snow sharks, and it's a bikini skiing contest because of course it is. But then there are these sharks.
I feel like I've heard of this.
Oh, it's on my you wouldn't believe this exists, but yes, it absolutely does.
I don't know why, but
it might have been me. I do have. I have some honorable mentions in the bad shark movie category that I'll get to. This did really kick off with Jaws, which came out in 1975. But in a lot of ways, shark movies are slasher movies. And slasher movies have typically been men killing women, or at least killing them more violently on screen, and usually showing it through their point of view, which this movie is very much through Zephyr's point of view. Some articles suggest women do relate to the victimhood in similar ways that we might to true crime. And that way, there's this danger, and it's almost in a very sad way refreshing to see it being confirmed that you do know this is a danger. Because, the numbers suggest we are more at risk. Not for shark attacks. Shark attacks are very rare. But, in general, that kind of danger, in this case, it's a man who's feeding you to sharks. And there's been some writing about sharks as kind of the patriarchy, actually. Something that will just chew you up, spit you out, doesn't care about you, doesn't care about your well-being at all. And I found one article in particular that was interesting, and it was about how in more recent years, there's been a shift into women fighting back. Because traditionally, it has been women getting eaten. And that there wasn't the fighting back part necessarily, but that has changed. And there were a lot of good examples on there, and I kind of laughed because I'd seen them all. I was like, oh, yeah. I've really delved into this genre. But yeah, it has long been the consumption of typically traditionally beautiful Western women, but that's also changed in recent years. From Dan Ruby's work, The Jaws in the Mirror, Jump Cut, a review of contemporary media, number 10 to 11. Quote, the shark's eye camera view watches from below as the woman swims acrobatically above. Then it rises up under her toward her crotch as she scissor kicks vertically in the water. The camera quickly switches to the surface of the water. Here, the close-up of the woman's agonized face as the unseen shark tears her body under the water is a frightening imitation of orgasm, the cliché of the equivalence of pleasure and pain used almost from the first portrayal of female orgasm in film. The juxtaposition of images, the erotic swimming sequence, and the shark attack appeals to a sadism and hatred of women, which must be assumed to be a part of the consciousness of the film's audience. However, the sadism is disguised so that it can be enjoyed by people who would not admit to having sadistic impulses or taste. So this is the first scene in Jaws that he is describing, which is a very, in my opinion, that's the scariest part of the whole movie. But I hadn't really thought about it. But it is true. We have discussed in slasher movies that it's often done that way. It's often done as a kind of sexualized way where you don't usually men, but you don't have to admit, I like seeing women being hurt. I enjoy that she's getting torn up right now and that it's kind of sexual. I'm into it. This is also the poster. It's a famous poster. Was her swimming like that, and then the shark coming up beneath her for Jaws. And interestingly, doing this research, I stumbled upon a whole paper about the queer reading of Jaws. And I had never heard of this, but Lauren, again, friend and other podcaster, because of her costume, she told me about this whole world of queer Jaws fan fiction. And I see it now. I see it. I hadn't before, and now I do.
I'm very confused.
The shark isn't involved.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. But the paper did talk about how this shark in Jaws was specifically noted in the first one. I think they reverse it in the second one to be male shark.
Well, Bruce.
Yeah, exactly. So they did talk about, that aspect of the whole thing. It was behind a paywall, so I couldn't read the entire paper. I'm running into that more and more. I don't know about you, Samantha.
Yeah, I've run into it a lot, and honestly, I understand it.
I do.
Especially with everything going down, but at the same time, it's really irritating.
Well, it's I can't pay
I give kudos, yes.
money. I could use the Shark magazine a lot. But if it's something we reference regularly, I could justify that. I think I would have a harder time to be
I have a subscription to Medium now because I feel like I get a lot of good content from different writers with a variation. So at least those are all variations.
Exactly.
Versus one specific subject. I'm not paying to look at your conservative left, far, right. I don't want to pay you for this. Hell no.
Exactly. Yes. Okay, well, aside from that, the horrors of trying to research these days, something else I was thinking about is there's also been a lot written about this is women scientists in shark movies, which is, again, you can see our episode we did on that. It's really bad. The whole paper was specifically on women in science, but they had one section that was about women in shark science in particular, and the percentage was lower than most of the other ones. I have talked, you weren't there, you had COVID, but I did talk about Deep Blue Sea on here, and how in that movie, Susan, the scientist, the shark scientist, was painted in a very villainous light. And actually, she was supposed to survive, but the audiences hated her so much, they changed the ending, so she died. And when I read that, I was like, I knew it. The ending has always felt off to me. It doesn't fit. I feel like usually there would have been some kind of redemption. I guess in this case, the redemption is she dies. But, the point being, a lot of times a male character would not have been received as villainously as she was. I really love the movie Under Paris. It's kind of funny because it was about Paris's please don't bring the Olympics here, which in a way I enjoyed. Because the mayor, the equivalent of the mayor from Jaws is a woman who's eating salads and is I'll swim in the Seine, I don't care, that kind of thing. But there is a woman scientist in that, a shark scientist. She is very much like, I like her character, but she is, you know, as you were kind of talking, like the traumatized, has had this horrible experience. Also, the main shark in that movie is called Lilith, which we've also done an episode on Lilith about being the birth of monsters.
Evil.
Yes. And then I have seen The Meg. I don't recall, because it came up in a couple of articles I was reading. They were talking about how there is a woman scientist in that, but she's almost completely defined by her attraction to Jason Statham and her like her,
I don't know why that's so funny. It's funny.
I thought it was quite humorous. I thought maybe it's because I was ace, and I was like, "Oh, really?" Because they have like a scene in there where you're clearly like supposed to be like fanning yourself, like "woo," and I was just like, "Put your shirt on, man." And as mentioned, any number of very bad horror movies feature women in bikinis getting eaten by sharks. Sharks, we're talking about sharks today, but I could think of like any creature you could put XYZ in there. Okay, so as I tease, here are some mentions I wanted to put in of bad horror movies I have come across, shark horror movies. The Shark Exorcist. This relates to an upcoming episode we're doing on religious horror, and I was like, if I wanted to, I could throw this one in there, because it features an evil nun who summons demonic sharks, and if you get bitten by the shark, it leads to possession. And of course, the person who gets bitten by the shark that we're following is like a traditionally hot lady who transforms into a shark.
They transform into sharks?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. At their own will, by the way. No, I would recommend watching a trailer. Don't watch the movie, but the trailer will give you a good chuckle. The trailer for Noah's Shark, however, which is my next entry, is not as good. But I did want to talk about it. Funnily enough, so the plot of this movie is a witch summons sharks to protect Noah's Ark. But I brought this movie up with my old D&D crew, and a friend of the show, Joe McCormick, was like, it would have been a much better movie if the sharks on the Ark like went evil or something, and Noah had to kill the sharks. Which somebody rightly pointed out in an article I was reading. Why were the sharks even on the Ark? Because
right,
there's water.
They don't need to be on the Ark. Like, there's no sea creatures on Arks.
Yeah.
They were from what I understand, there was all land creatures.
Right.
That needed to be saved. Confusion.
Yeah. Well, that is fair. That is fair. Here's a quote I found about this movie. Noah, you see, forgot a certain shark to put in his ark. Okay, from the time I was a little kid, I always thought that Noah didn't need to put fish or sea creatures in his ark anyway, because they could just swim around in the torrential water that flooded the earth. But no, this was a problem, and Noah should have kept this shark in the ark and not unleashed the powerful evil force. It's all simply ridiculous, with some of the poorest acting I've ever seen. The story doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but oh, there's a witch in there too. The Witch of Endor is not from a Star Wars world, which is too bad because it would have been more interesting.
I'm confused why there's a witch when it comes to Christian folklore.
Listen, I can't explain this to you. I can't. I don't know if anyone can.
That's not happening because the old intention was that God needed to protect. Where did this witch come from?
No one knows. No one knows.
Is it the wife of Noah? Are we calling or one of the children of Noah?
Oh, it could be. I don't know. I have never watched Noah's Shark.
Well, I think you have a new assignment.
I don't know if I can do it.
I need you to do it.
Well, I might.
I think it's time.
I do have a list of all the shark movies I haven't watched yet, and it is on there.
It is one of them.
That quote was from a Medium article. The ultimate ridiculousness in the lost story of Noah's Shark by Mike Szymanski. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's a fun read. It was I'm laughing a lot. I love this genre so much, but there has been total nonsense. I mean, Sharknado is kind of the epitome of what we're talking about here,
Yes.
of what has happened.
I mean, it got a 2.
There's
It got a sequel.
no, I think
At
there's like
least.
7.
Oh, is there 7? I know they're all like
Fabio's the
released to
Pope in the
Sci-Fi.
5th one.
They're all like released on Sci-Fi Network, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Ian, what's his face from 90210 fame? I know was one of the shining stars on this show.
Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting, I mean, that again, if I had this Shark podcast, I would talk about it forever, because that was an interesting case of everybody saying that movie would fail, and rightfully it should have, but because it was so bizarre and funny,
it's kind of like The Troll.
Yeah.
It also got a second one, and it makes no damn sense.
Well, isn't it not related to the first one, though?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad. The first one was taking itself seriously, that the second one was like, we're going to do a new one, but it's not going to have anything to do with it, and it's going to be ridiculous.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Yes.
I could be wrong.
They're completely different. There's also Troll Hunter, which I would say is a really good movie, but I accidentally watched Troll trying to watch Troll Hunter, and I was very
Didn't
confused.
we do this with a Korean show for you, too?
I have accidentally
completely different. I'm like, wait, what are you watching?
I have accidentally watched the wrong thing on several occasions.
to everyone's delight, The Witch of Endor. I
know.
I feel like that alone.
We should start, like, if I can't do my Shark podcast, we should have like a Shark review, like once a month.
I'm not going to agree to this, but
no, I will. You don't have to watch them.
Right. If you need this.
This is my
you know
therapy.
What? We've been talking about doing a Patreon. I think that's the Patreon.
And you know me, I would talk about feminist themes.
Oh, we would. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I mean, I think if we have a Patreon and we do it on our own, I think it needs to be, but make it feminist and do whatever we want, but have, it's going to be called But Make It Feminist.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, listeners,
don't steal it, people. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Or
Copyright.
steal it and tell us about it.
Yeah, let us know how it goes. How much money are you making? Yeah, well, listeners, let us know if you'd be interested in something like that. I know I went kind of off of the actual movie we were talking about. I legitimately think this is a really good movie, and I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. Like, again, like kind of when you were talking about people's reasoning about slashers, I was like, maybe that's why I hate slashers so much, because that's all it feels like. It just feels like, and I feel that way about a lot of Korean dramas too. Like, they do this purposely to bring in violence against women, it feels like, for no reason. Like one of the ones we watched before, they brought in a kidnapping scene for no reason. Like, I really feel like they could have done anything else with that, but they really loved this ideal of like, make sure we torture women, but also we'll have a woman rescue them. So that's the answer type of conversation. Yeah. And I think that might be it. But for this one, I think they did it in a way that didn't feel like it was sexualizing or victimizing women in a way that was so like over the top gross and icky that I was like, okay, this wasn't bad. The ending was interesting. She ended up like, we even had the like turnaround of like, he came in to be a hero, Moses, who was a sweet guy, but she was the one that ended up being the hero the entire time. Like, yes, he assisted, sure, but it was her and her determination and her gumption, as old kids would say.
Yeah. And I have a friend who also has, I wouldn't say she likes slashers, but and I understand, she doesn't like watching them when eating. And so we had ordered dinner the other day, and I mentioned this movie, and I was like, we should watch that. And she was like, okay, does somebody get eaten by a shark? And I was like, yes. But when I thought about it, most of the movie is entirely her trying to escape. Like, there is that's the death in the beginning with the guy, that happens very quickly. And then Heather, which is very traumatizing, but not overly. I mean, it's violent, but it's not like, oh my God. Yeah. But most of the movie is her trying to escape. And it is very suspenseful just because of that. Yeah. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I did have fun. I've been meaning to talk about sharksploitation in some of these bad movies for a while. I would not categorize this movie in that same space, but I was curious and I have been wanting to talk about it. So this was a good means to get to that. Yes. So listeners, as always, hope you enjoyed this. If you've seen it or if you check it out, write in, let us know if you have other shark movies we should discuss, or any horror movies in general. We love getting your suggestions. You can email us at hello@stuffnevertoldyou.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky Mom Stuff Podcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have some new merchandise at Cotton Bureau, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer Christina, our executive producer Maya, and our contributor Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Never Told You is production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or if you listen to your favorite shows.